You are Locked On Dodgers Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Los Angeles on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Wow, what a way to end that one. PCA climbing the wall, Max Muncy missing what would have been a 2-run home run that would have brought the Dodgers to within one. But Armstrong pulls it in for the third out of the inning and puts it in the books for the Cubs, 6-3. An exciting game from a lot of different levels. We'll get into the entirety of it. To me, I feel like this was a football game, right? I looked at this game and I was like, the tale of two halves, right? The Yamamoto outing was fantastic. The defense was trash. It was garbage. You can't play defense that poorly at this level and expect to win. That was unbelievable. Like, come on, grow up, become professionals. It was 3 errors in 1 inning. I mean, that was just ridiculous. So I come away from this one feeling like I found a really good parking spot right outside the restaurant, you know, up close, or outside the theater or the ballpark. And I'm looking around for no parking signs and I think I'm good. I go into the event, I come out, there's a parking ticket on my car. That's what this game felt like to me. Dodgers lose 6-3 after cruising for the majority of the game through 7 innings. They got to the 8th and it all went to hell in a handbasket. I am Pete Fox, host of the Locked On Dodgers postcast on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel, the place to hang out when every game is done. We come in and we break it down for you. You can also listen wherever you find your podcast on the Locked On Dodgers podcast feed. I've been covering sports in LA dating back to 2007 for ESPN LA and NBC Sports Radio. Tonight's episode of the Locked On Dodgers postcast is brought to you by FanDuel. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get 3 free weeks, a free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. So, you know, the thing about this game that was frustrating was that defensive performance, because as many of you have put, some of you, Nando was in here before the game was even over. Roy said it as well. Wasted game by Yamamoto. That was not an earned run error on Freddie. Agreed completely. Everyone agreed with that except for the official scorer. And having been in the press box for a long time, sometimes those decisions take a while. I don't understand why. I've sat there, you know, behind those guys many a night, and I've looked at them, and they're a lot of times they'll sit there in the press box. It's really interesting, and they look around and they'll go, "Hey, what do you think?" You know, they turn to the guy behind them or the girl sitting next to them, and they'll be like, "What do you think?" And it's kind of a consensus sometimes of the press box. So I don't know how that turned from an obvious error, a bounding ball that went off Freddie Freeman's chest, to a base hit. Like even Mendoza and Joe in the booth were like, "Yeah, I'm not changing that. That's an error." So that was interesting from the standpoint of Freddie Freeman doesn't normally make plays like that. And by that, I mean, he doesn't make errors like that. That's a fairly easy play for Freddie Freeman. Either take a step back or come and get it. He was kind of locked in position and he got a bad hop and it had topspin and it bounced off of his chest. So yeah, I mean, the Dodgers were charged with 3 errors, but let's be honest, it was 4 errors. But Yamamoto was great. But you can't have that kind of pitching outing go to waste because your defense is lazy, not paying attention. I don't know how to describe it. Just brain lock is what it looked like and what it felt like. Just bad plays, a bad throw from Austin Barnes, who's normally very fundamentally sound. The throw from center field from Tommy Edman that got away from Max Muncy at third. Nobody's there backing up. It's a pretty bad throw, but I feel like Max got kind of screened by the base runner. But even still, why is the pitcher not there backing him up? I mean, these are little league plays, basic. So that's frustrating as hell. when you've got Yamamoto out there dazzling the way he was, I mean, that's the best I've seen him look all year. And I know I've been a little, I know you guys think that I am unimpressed with Shohei. I know it's been a while, but there were times when I was maybe a little overly critical of Yamamoto, and I feel awful about some of those comments early in the season. Again, maybe holding him to too high of a standard. It falls to me under the category of you don't know what you got until it's gone. And the second he got hurt in the middle of June, I was like, wow, it sure would be nice to have him around all season long. And then he comes back and does that, and you're like, wow, welcome back, and please keep that going, because he was absolutely locked in. Struck out the side to start the game. I think he struck out the first 4 batters, 8 strikeouts over 4 innings, mixing it up. That splitter was unhittable. That was absolutely wicked. And I hope that other guys like Bobby Miller and Walker Buehler pay attention to the way he pitched, right? Yes, he was throwing that fastball early in the high 90s. His first pitch was 97 miles an hour. But in the beginning, he was setting it up with the fastball and then bringing the splitter or the curveball, the sinker, whatever it was. So he's working forward. And then by the second or the third inning, I think he started working backwards. He was setting it up with the off speed pitch and finishing with the fastball, right? And more than anything, when he was, whatever the first pitch was to set up the next pitch, there was a point to it. Walker Buehler was just throwing fastballs down the middle last night. It was like, of course they're going to hit it because they know it's coming down the middle. Yamamoto would throw fastballs on the lower half of the zone and then throw a sinker or that splitter, which would disappear. And they were just flailing at it. He struck out the first 4 guys twice. I mean, he just made people look silly. And that is a damn good feeling to have, that Yamamoto is back, knock on wood, that he keeps it rolling, because he came in and absolutely dominated. And I don't know if the Dodgers just got overly confident, like this one's in the books. Tommy Edman with 2 home runs. We're up 3-1. Muncy 2-1 at that point. Muncy homers to right, 3-1. Now we got a rested bullpen to come in and shut the door, and we're gonna even this series at 1 game apiece. And then the 8th inning rolls around, and do not start blaming that 8th inning on Evan Phillips. Evan Phillips gave up a hit, yeah, but he didn't give up any runs. And some of the balls that were hit were just, lazy line drives that people booted. The play from center field from Tommy Edman. I can't even remember what the third error was. So there was Barnes had one, Edman had one. I don't even remember what the third one was, but Phillips did his job. Wait a second. He's charged with 4 of those. When I looked earlier, he was not charged with any of them. I thought they were on Vesia's back. Okay, never mind. Phillips was a disaster. They hadn't updated the box score when I checked it earlier. My bad. I apologize. Yeah, not a good outing. He had given up 1 run in the the last 16 games. Tonight he gave up 4 runs on just 2 hits. But again, let's be honest, not all of those are his fault, right? They were charged to him, but errors all over the place by the defense. So the thing about all of that debacle in the 8th inning that could be helpful, I will tell you about next. I think there could be a silver lining in this disaster of a second half of a game. First 2 quarters for the Dodgers look great. Second 2 quarters, not good. They lose 6-3 and drop this series to the Cubs in spite of a great outing from Yamamoto. I'm Pete Fox. This is the Locked On Dodgers postcast on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel. The place to hang out when every game is done. You can also listen wherever you find your podcast on the Locked On Dodgers podcast feed. You can also find Jeff and Vince there doing the Locked On Daily Dodgers podcast. They'll probably bang one out here real quick, right as soon as I get done, and it'll be ready for you to consume, potentially even live. So keep an eye open for that on the Locked On Dodgers LA YouTube channel, or the Locked On Dodgers YouTube channel. We'll take the break and come back, and I'll tell you where the silver lining hopefully lies. Tonight's episode of the Locked On Dodgers postcast is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel. Is it FanDuel or FanDuel? You've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Well, we have something a little different for you. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. And if you've never had the Sunday Ticket, you are missing out. It is fantastic, especially if you're a hardcore football fan. Then with a YouTube TV basic plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel at any time. So no contracts. Just visit FanDuel.com, download America's #1 sportsbook today. All right, the Dodgers stepped in it and then rolled around in the 8th inning, giving up 3 errors. Even though they didn't call the Freddie Freeman play early on an error, it was. I don't know why, but the Dodgers surrendered 5 in that inning, 4 charged to Evan Phillips, and they lose 6-3. The thing about this game that I hope is a silver lining. First of all, Lux wasn't playing second. It was Kike Hernandez. That was the other error right there. Sorry. And Kike, here's one of the frustrating things for me about the way that went down is I feel like even I do it. We give Kike a lot of rope because he's a good guy and very versatile. And we're always like, yeah, Kike can play everywhere. He can do everything. And Kike basically is a well-rounded guy. And you feel like he never makes mistakes. And like just a couple nights ago, I remember congratulating him on a fantastic play that he made. But tonight, that was just a awful, little league play that he couldn't field that ground ball because he was trying to get the runner coming in front of him. Get the out, make the play, throw to first base, get the out. He was trying to do too much. So Luck's not playing there. We missed out on that. But the thing that hopefully comes out of this across the board, Dodgers are a good defensive team across the board. Statistically speaking, when you look at their numbers, they play defense well. Every once in a while, this happens. I believe this is their 3rd 3-error game this season. Not good, but across the longevity of 162, their defense is good. So hopefully this kind of thing with 17 games to go in the regular season is a wake-up call to them to say, hey, that cannot happen. We cannot do that in tight, close playoff games. When we've got a pitcher that goes out there and sets us up for a win and performs lights out, the defense has to hold it up, right? The bullpen was okay. And I disagree with whoever said that Evan Phillips does not ever have a clean inning. He does. He's been bad, but he's gotten it back on track. And by clean inning, do you mean just no hits, just zeros? If he gets out of the inning without giving up a run, that's a clean inning as far as I'm concerned. He's given up 1 run prior to tonight in his last 16 games. What do you guys want from him? I mean, you're like putting the standard on Phillips that I put on Shohei. Like I want Shohei getting a base hit at least 2 times a night, if not 3. And by the way, how do we grade the battle of the 4 Japanese guys? 2 on the Dodgers, 2 on the Cubs. I feel like as far as the offense, it's pretty easy. Shohei lost. He was 0 for 4 tonight. Granted, hit balls a long way, just missed a couple. But Suzuki went 3 for 5 with the run scored and an RBI. So from that perspective, and the only reason I bring this up from a Japanese perspective is they talked about it the entire game. All of these Japanese guys were looking forward to this matchup. Imanaga said, he set up this matchup against Yamamoto like 2 weeks ago. He said to counsel, I want to face Yamamoto on Tuesday at Dodger Stadium. And I guess you could say that Yamamoto wins the battle of the pitchers, but does he? Imanaga won the game. The guy battled and lasted through 7. So that to me is a bit of a toss-up. He left me hanging by 1K because I had Yamamoto and Imanaga in a prize picks put together in a combo pick to go over the strikeout number, because Imanaga is a damn good pitcher. 13-3 now with a 3.03 ERA. His number tonight for strikeouts was 5. I thought, well, the Dodgers are fairly prone to strikeouts. They're kind of middle of the pack. They'll strike out if this guy's as good as his numbers indicate. And I just had a feeling that Yamamoto was going to come back dealing, and he was. So his number was 4.5, and he had that like right away. He struck out the first 4 guys. So that was fantastic. An easy half of a victory there. That was a moral silver lining victory for me there on prize picks. Imanaga needed 1 more. I'm like, come on, stop grounding out. But the thing was, I didn't think Imanaga he did like that, again, to use a football analogy, he did that bend, don't break sort of thing. He wasn't making people miss a lot of balls in play, balls over the plate, and the Dodgers were making contact, but they weren't doing a whole lot with them. In the end, the Cubs out hit them 11-8, but the Dodgers had 3 home runs. So, this game is positive because Yamamoto comes back and looks great. At the same time, it's frustrating because you let one slip that you should have won. This one should not have been a loss. Mark brings up a good point that I agree with. But without the basics, even 18 strikeouts won't win games. Mature teams shouldn't break like the Dodgers did tonight. I know. I feel like at times the Dodgers get overly confident with their ability to just put people wherever, right? And sometimes they get a little lazy. They just kind of went to sleep in that inning. Bad throw down to first. Kike trying to do too much. And then, I don't know. I mean, the play where Edman threw to third and the ball rolled into the dugout was, and it was a hairline from moving that guy, Suzuki, over to third base. They went back and reviewed it. But ultimately, the pitcher should be there backing up. And Max should have, I think, maybe Max was screened and couldn't get around the base runner, right? And if that's the case, then bad throw. I mean, you got to have that throw was 5 to 6 feet right of Max Muncy down the line. Not even close. So Edman, who, again, everybody raves about Edman's defense. Oh, he's such a good defender. He can do everything. Play infield, play outfield. Yeah, well, he can't throw the ball to third base. I that kind of stuff to me at the major league level is practically unforgivable. I mean, again, this is not a preview of a playoff game. I think this Cubs team is good. They are rallying right now, trying to get into that wild card. I think they fall short. I don't think they have enough to catch the Diamondbacks and the Padres, who are playing well. And I believe the third one is the Braves. Again, a better team than them. So, of course, anything can happen. Cards can fall different ways. It's possible. It's not impossible, but I just don't think they'll get there. So you look at this game and you go, not really a playoff atmosphere, although the Dodgers do have history against the Cubs in the playoffs, in the recent past. What was it, 16 and 17? They lost to them in 16 when the Cubs went on to win the World Series. They beat them in 17. So there's a little bit, it's not really a rivalry. It's the Cubs are a team that people follow around the country. Cub fans are very active. They go on the road and follow their team, and people, it's Chicago's one of those cities that everyone is like, oh, Chicago's great. I love Chicago. And I can't remember who made this joke. I feel like it was Jeb Bartlett in the West Wing. And he said something to the effect of, West Wing is a very popular TV show from like 20 or 30 years ago. For those of you going, what's the West Wing? It was about a fictional president. But he said something like, everybody raves about Chicago. Why, if Chicago is such a great city, am I constantly meeting people that used to live there? And that's true. You know, people are from Chicago and they come to LA. They're still Cubs fans, right? And if your team's out of it, the Cubs are an easy team to root for, especially if you've ever been to Chicago and been to Wrigley, because it's a warm, welcoming thing. So I don't feel like there's contention between the Dodgers and the Cubs. Obviously, a couple of Dodgers on the Cubs, Cody Bellinger and Michael Busch. So, you know, there's that element. So it had the feeling of this game is kind of important, but not like the last series or the series before that against the Diamondbacks. Obviously, there was a different tenor to those series. Cleveland is going to be a playoff team. The Diamondbacks will be a playoff team. The Cubs, I don't know. But the fact of the matter is that, you know, we're right down to it. Crunch time, 17 games to go. You got to win these games, especially when you have a good outing, right? Yesterday, like I said, it happens. Walker Buehler got off to a bad start. They were not going to burn up the bullpen on a game like that. Tonight, completely different vibe, right? When the starter that you have had on the IL for a while comes back and dazzles and performs and you let him down. I mean, that was exactly what the best they could have hoped for from Yamamoto. He had 2 rehab starts, which were kind of so they didn't have high hopes. They were like 50 to 60 pitches, and then we're going to get him out of there. And they're still trying to get him 4 more starts is what Doc said. 4 more starts before the end of the year. Really? In 17 games? That seems nearly impossible. But that's what they're looking for. So in 50 to 60 pitches and 4 innings to strike out 8 guys, to have the command that he did tonight, A+. That's a win. So I'm assuming that's what they're taking away from this game. And hopefully the errors are something that are eye-opening for them, that they wake up and go, hey, we got to be better. You know, we can't do that. Got to go out and play fundamental baseball. That's like, you know, first thing on your list. Hit the ball and catch the ball. Fundamentals, right? Dodgers lose 6-3, fall to the Cubs in this series. They'll play again tomorrow. But tonight, Yamamoto went 4 innings, struck out 8, was fantastic. Tommy Edman, 2 home runs. Max Muncy went deep, but that would be it for the offense, and they lose 6-3. I'm Pete Fox. This is the Locked On Dodgers postcast on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel, the place to hang out when every game is done. Tonight's show also brought to you by Game Time. You know, I'm a big fan of the Game Time app, and they've got some new features there called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. They have some AI thing filtering out fluff and bad seats and bad prices and bad deals, and all you have left is incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. I looked at the app just before we started here on the postcast. $30 tickets for tomorrow's finale against the Cubs. That's unbelievable. And don't forget, the weather is going to be better. That heat wave is pretty much gone. Fall hopefully is here. We don't have to deal with that anymore. They also have curated deals that make it even easier to find the best price on great seats. Views from the seat. As you know, that's one of the things I'm very familiar with and a big fan of, because if you're trying to penny pinch and you go, maybe one section over is just as good and it saves me $50, the view from the seat will tell you whether or not it is worth it. They also have all-in pricing. Toggling this feature shows the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout, and they have the lowest price guarantee on Game Time. They will credit you up to 110% of the difference if you find tickets that are more expensive or cheaper, rather. Game Time ticket coverage. Your purchase is also covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. Dodgers fall 6-3, but in a sense, we feel like, hey, we had something very, very positive come out of this game. A couple of things. Tommy Edman hitting his first 2 home runs as a Dodger, and Yamamoto going 4. We'll get to Yamamoto's strikeout pitches, which were amazing. But first, the Diamond Dogs list, which I forgot to get to last segment. I apologize. I think it's pretty obvious who's on it. 3 of the 5 are pretty obvious. Tommy Edman, his first pitch home run in the second inning, 357 feet. That was his first HR as a Dodger. Then Kike, a leadoff single in the third, poked one to the right side. It was nice protecting with 2 strikes, something you don't see from a lot of people on this team with the big home run swing, regardless of the count. Kike can go up there and get a ball in play. So I was proud of that, if you will. Number 3, Austin Barnes, a 2-strike single to left, a little blooper right on the heels of Kike's single. Then Tommy Edman, a home run in the 4th, another first pitch homer, 388 feet, his second. And then for number 1, Max Muncy, a no doubting blast, a no doubter in the 5th, 402 feet, right center field, his 13th of the season. So there's the offense. As far as the defense, that deserves a D-. I guess you have to give him a D because pitching is defense, and Yamamoto deserves an A+. But he started off his first K with a sinker. Then he went to that split, which was a 91-mile-an-hour off-speed pitch. That thing is just devastating and unhittable. Then finished the third batter with a 4-seamer. Then the 4th batter of the game in the second inning got him with the split, then another split, because that pitch was clearly his best pitch of the night. And then a fastball for number 7, and then another splitter for number 8. Other positives, Gratterall returned, which most of us did not think that he would. His outing was 1 inning, gave up 2 hits, and the rest zeros. I don't know if you caught this or not, but Bonda goes on the IL after pitching yesterday, and they're saying he has a broken hand. And where did that come from? Did he punch the wall after that outing? I mean, I'm half joking, but like, when did he break his hand? He didn't break it in the game, unless it's his left hand and it was broken. I'm sorry, his right hand, and it was broken already. And sometimes these IL things are just like, where'd that come from? I don't know. Like Austin Barnes had that broken foot, which, by the way, he came back from in like 10 days. Again, that's 6 weeks for a broken bone, I thought. I don't know. So, speed healing there from Austin Barnes. But since he returned from the broken foot, he's batting 400. So he's been on fire. There was plenty of positives in this one, I thought that it would be a lot worse against Imanaga because he was red hot on Wednesday of last week against the Pirates, 7 no-hit innings. So he came in on fire and was clearly inspired to face his fellow countryman Yamamoto, as apparently was Yamamoto, because he came out and was also on fire. So a good pitching battle early. I feel like the Dodgers had Imanaga's number a little bit, but didn't kind of finish him off. Didn't put their foot on the proverbial throat and win the game, because Imanaga won the game. He's now 13-3. He went 7, giving up 3 runs on 7 hits, striking out just 4 on 89 pitches. Yamamoto threw 59. They said 50 to 60. So that was it. Brazier again, really good. 1 strikeout, 1 hit. That's all. Blake Trinan, 1 hit, the rest zeros. I feel like Blake Trinan needs to add another pitch to his repertoire, or use the sinker that comes back in on right-handed hitters a little more. That sweeper frisbee action pitch that he throws is wicked. It's unbelievable, right? It's almost like they call it video game-esque, cartoonish. But when you see what it does the same thing every time. It dives hard to a right-handed hitter outside. So if he misses it a little bit, then it's a pretty hittable pitch, or it's a ball that's a foot outside of the zone. Yes, it is wicked, but it needs to be set up by something else. Maybe a fastball down and in, or that sinker up and in that comes back, or maybe a curveball. I don't know. Good old-fashioned curveball. What's wrong with an Uncle Charlie? Mix one of those in every now and then. Vesia, who was rested and hadn't pitched in a while, went 1 inning, 1 walk, 1 run, 1 hit. No strikeouts. Phillips, an ugly outing, suffering the loss. 2 hits, 4 runs, 1 walk, 1 K, and Gratterall again. Just 2 hits, the rest zeros in a 6-3 loss for the Dodgers. They're now 86-59, 47-27 at home. Cubs are 5 games over 500 at 75-70. Tomorrow, the finale of this series for the Dodgers. I believe it is another nighttime game. Let's see who is starting as the Dodgers try to salvage one in this series. Tomorrow, September 11th. This game underway at 7:10. It'll be Bobby Miller versus Jordan Wicks. Yeah, Jordan Wicks. Again, 7:10. I'll be here on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel right after the game, breaking it down for you. Don't forget, you can also listen wherever you find your podcasts on the Locked On Dodgers podcast feed. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for the comments. Enjoy the rest of your night. We will talk again tomorrow.